If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever. I don't think that power carries quite as much with those bigger guys. It's a little bit of a step. It's a step up, you know, like that. There's very few guys that keep that power as they keep going up and up and up in weight.
A lot of people think it's funny, like, oh, you're gonna fight Canelo, like you're saying you're gonna beat Canelo, like you're out of your mind, you lost to Tommy Fury in a split decision, how are you gonna beat Canelo?
If Jake Paul wasn't this YouTuber, he was just a boxer. When you see a boxer defeat the former UFC welterweight champion, not just a former, but one of the best ever, you don't think that power carries as much weight with those bigger guys. It's a little bit of a step up, you know, and there are many guys that maintain that power as they keep gaining weight. Many people find it amusing that, oh, you're going to fight Canelo, as if you're crazy because you lost to Tommy Fury via split decision.
This is very fucking dangerous. Very dangerous.
And there's always somebody coming right behind you. And these guys who've been at the top so long, you're like, all right, let me get somebody that's on my level. Canelo, he's been in the game just as long as me. And all right, let's just do this for this paycheck and then move on.
I think when they get to a certain level and they realize they only have a few fights left, they want the big money fights. And Canelo is obviously the biggest money fight. Even though Boots Ennis is a great fighter, most people don't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
And with Canelo, everybody knows who Canelo is. If you get the Canelo fight, that's red panties night.
How will you defeat Canelo? In May 2025, Jake Paul is anticipated to face Canelo Alvarez. Joe Rogan expresses doubt that this fight will go place, claiming that Canelo has too much going on and doesn't have time to wait for Jake Paul. He also claims that everyone knows Canelo is a huge money fight.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Which is why everyone wants to fight him. Canelo offers a large salary. Given Canelo's hectic schedule, Rogan is still doubtful that the bout will ever take place.
Do you think you could still throw down? Like if it had to happen? Like if Jake Paul called you out?
Well, he'd probably fuck me up.
Really?
He's a really good boxer. He's a good boxer.
What if it was kickboxing? He doesn't really know how to kickbox.
When I was a younger man and I had good knees, I could be kickboxing people, but I could barely get through a workout without being in pain now. There's a reality of knees and backs.
Extremely. Underscore, it's really risky, and there's always someone after you. But these guys who've been at the top for so long act like everything is fine. Okay, let's just do this for this paycheck and move on. I believe that when they reach a certain level and realize they only have a few fights left, they want the big money fights. And Canelo is undoubtedly the biggest money fight despite Boots.
Beast.
He's a beast.
He's a beast.
He's a beast.
Like I'm talking more about Jake. I want to see a UFC fight.
You want to see a UFC fight with Jake?
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to fight for the UFC.
Well, no,
he's
or
got a
MMA
contract
fight.
for-
MMA fight.
He'll
I'm
do
so
an
sorry.
MMA. He's got a contract with the PFL, which is another organization. They're throwing a lot of money around. They just signed Francis Ngannou, and Jake has a contract with them. So if he has an MMA fight, I think it has to be over there.
Let me get someone that's on my level, Canelo. He's been in the game for as long as I have. Tennis is a fantastic boxer, but most people aren't aware of him yet. On the other hand, Canelo is well known. If you see him fight, it's red pants night. Joe Rogan thinks that the reason why people dislike Jake Paul is because he began as a YouTuber. Rogan claims that many people don't believe that Paul is a real boxer.
You said that you'd like to go up against Canelo Alvarez. What gives you the right to call out a 59-2 boxer, one of the greatest of all time, when you've not yet proven yourself?
I'm predicting what's going to happen
In
three
the
more years
three
from now.
years- so 3
I'm going to
years.
get to his skill level and beat him. I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world, and I know what I'm capable of. And with this new team, I can give Canelo a serious for his money.
Would you ever do like exhibitions like that, or like people like Jake Paul call you out, or these like other big stars? Like, is that business wise like even worth it?
When I'm done with boxing, why not? Maybe I do it. I think it's
Like when you're done like competing at the highest level, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's good because what happened there is other people who never watch boxing, or they don't know anything about boxing, they wanna watch Jake Paul because he's coming from he bring fans from other world, right? Yeah. That's good because everybody enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
But he claims that Paul has already proven himself by defeating several UFC champions. When you see a boxer knock out a former UFC welterweight champion, not just a former, but one of the greatest ever, with a single blow like that, you think, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's real because nothing about watching him fight makes me scream like he's in over his head, and he looks like a real boxer, despite the criticism Paul receives.
Max?
Yeah.
Will we actually see this fight?
It's not impossible. He has 0% chance to beat Canelo Alvarez. That's the worst guy he could fight is Canelo Alvarez. The worst thing he can do.
No. Tell us why.
Because Canelo Alvarez is not playing games.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Everything is muscle memory since he was a kid. He was a natural. He's fought every fighter there is. He's beaten light heavyweights, and he's a natural counterpuncher. You come to him, he just beats the hell out of you. There's no way in any universe Jake Paul could ever beat Canelo Alvarez. But I love the fact that he thinks he can. I love that about both Paul brothers. This is how it could happen, okay? How a fight could. He has to beat Tyron Woodley. That's not easy. Then he has to beat a striker in their prime, because Woodley's not in his prime anymore, right? Still an MMA guy, not a full-time boxer in his prime. Then he'd be 5-0. Then he needs to beat a striker who's his size and in his prime, but from MMA, so he still hasn't fought a boxer. He's 6-0. Then he needs to fight a pro boxer. Could be an inexperienced guy, but he's got to fight him. That's 7-0. Beat a more experienced pro boxer, 8-0. Beat a pro boxer his own size, 9-0. Beat a more experienced pro boxer his own size. He'd be 10-0, and now he's ready for an 8-round fight against a real fighter, right? Then you got to beat that guy. It takes a while to build up a world-class 10-round fighter, and he'll always be at a disadvantage against guys with amateur backgrounds because they have muscle memory. We saw it in UFC 264. Stephen A., remember the Hardy fight? Mm-hmm. So he's fighting a guy with muscle memory. Hardy's an athlete.
Rogan says he is a great fighter and praises his dedication. If it had to happen, do you think you could still throw down? For example, if Jake Paul called you out, he'd probably underscore me up. He's a really good boxer. So what if it was kickboxing? He's not a younger man, and I could be kickboxing people, but I can hardly make it through a workout.
Champion. And then for your girlfriend, Yuta, to win Olympic gold.
Yeah, we just have all the belts.
That's insane.
In the world.
That's crazy.
And then we should just retire after that.
So look, are you happy with your performance in the fight? Are you happy with the way the night went down?
I wish he would have, put up a better fight, so then I could have risen more and done more. And he was surviving.
He was.
So
before you went out,
it's worked up. But I think that everybody just wants him to win. Wanted Mike to win. But
dude, people really don't like us, Jake. People really want to see you get knocked out.
Yeah, what did I ever do to anyone?
Well, you climbed on top of the KTLA news van.
Hilarious.
You wasted the government's money.
How?
Because the FBI had to raid your house.
They wasted their own money. They wasted their own money. Why would they do that? I didn't. And then nothing ever came from it. They didn't even know what they were doing there.
Without experiencing pain. During a conversation, Joe Rogan and Post Malone both acknowledged that Canelo Alvarez is a true beast in the ring. They emphasize his amazing career and how he continues to take on the hardest obstacles. Canelo's dominance, skill, and power make him one of the finest boxers of this generation. He's a beast, he's a beast.
All right, let's do this. Canelo versus Crawford, confirmed. Not a rumor, not speculation, not he said, she said, or someone leaking the story. Confirmed. And I guess the confirmation doesn't get much more rock solid than the Ring Magazine putting this story out first. Ring Magazine, obviously owned by Turkey. Turkey would have been the one to put this deal together, and Turkey would have had to give the green light for the Ring Magazine to even put that story out. That's as confirmation as you need it. That's it. The fight will happen in September. Touch wood, no injuries. Wow. Easily the biggest fight of 2025. I said a few days ago, Benavidez Morale was my most intriguing fight of 2025. Obviously, that's now been put down to second place because this has been announced. Nothing can...
He's a beast. I'm talking more about Jake, and I want to see a UFC fight. If you want to see Jake fight for the UFC, he won't be fighting for the UFCF MMAF, but he does MMA, and he has a contract with the PFL, another organization that is throwing a lot of money around. They recently signed Francis and Ngannou, and Jake has a contract with them, so I believe his MMA fight must take place there.
Canelo Alvarez versus Jake Paul in May. That's what ESPN, Boxea ESPN in Spanish is reporting. ESPN in Spanish does 1,000,000 times better than ESPN in English when it comes to boxing. It's just factual. So I really trust their relationship in the boxing world versus the American counterpart, that it's always hit or miss. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they take sources, they don't source where they got it from. But ESPN in Spanish is saying it's very serious talks between Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul to fight in the USA in May. And it's going to be a joint promotion from Canelo Promotions, from MVP Promotions, and from PBC. I've heard about this fight about 5 months ago, that there was talks about it happening. I couldn't really run with it because it didn't look like that was the direction, but anything is possible. And Jake Paul did tease that he has a big announcement in January. So this may be the big announcement he was working on. But what do you guys think? Canelo and Jake Paul. Jake Paul's been in boxing 5 years. Canelo Alvarez has been in boxing since he was a kid. Been a professional since he's 15. He's fought the likes of Mayweather, Cotto, Danny Jacobs. So many off the top of my head. Pero Angulo. He fought Munguia and Berlanga, and Austin Trout, and so many legends on his resume. Shane Mosley and James Kirkland. And Canelo worked very hard to be at the position that he's in. A 4-division champion and undisputed at 68. And him and Jake Paul, marketing-wise, would be a massive, massive fan. Everyone knows Canelo is a rock star. Everyone knows Jake Paul is very popular. It's hard to top Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, but if there's one fight that could top it, this may be it. So it's going to be interesting. And Jake Paul, he shared the ring with Mike Tyson. And a lot of people want to see revenge. Even Canelo said that he would fight him in revenge for Mike Tyson. So this may be on Netflix again. And if it is, that was a movie. They really invested everything.